So we are now getting recorded. So everyone, just wanted to tell you what is the context of the entire call. Even Loki, you and Priyanshu, you as well. The context of the call is like few months back we launched a very important piece of a puzzle, like which we are creating at Spheron is like Web3 infra aggregation layer. The important piece was the upload functionality and the deployment functionality. Rather than going on the UI of the Spheron, a user should be able to do it on their own machine, right? Directly using their own local build model or their own local code, or they are not like used to of going to a nice looking GUI, rather than they are used to of Kubectl, right? Going and doing that. So we have released that functionality. I guess like it was a pure API driven thing, which we are going to be decentralizing over the time. That is what our intention is, so that it becomes P2P over the time. But initially, our main intention was is to uh, provide our fellow developers, provide our community where they can just go and play around. They can build a use case. So one of the use cases for this, I believe, Bidalfy, right, which we have been building on our ecosystem side, where you can use it basically what it does. It uses Spheron to attach its and deploy everything via Spheron, and provide stable web application to the users. So that was our intention. But before we wanted to go and build everything our own, we always wanted to make sure like each and everything, at least we start trying supporting our community who is kind of building very nice stuff into the Spheron ecosystem itself. And since I personally believe, not only I believe the entire Spheron team is now moving more towards like building in community and built by the community over the time, and that is what our intention is. So with that intention, we spawned one nice bounty, which we have not pushed in Gitcoin and all these places because we never wanted to. We wanted to make sure like the people who are the part of Spheron community already, they go ahead and use that opportunity and claim that bounty so that they can have fun in India, I believe. So most likely the winners, like you guys have been building on this for a longer time, and we have been just trying to support you as much as possible. I'll come on to like who are these folks and how long I have been working with you guys. But this is what the overall context was. Is the bounty was very simple and straightforward. You have to use, like you had to use actually, uh, our SDK, or not SDK, basically it's a API, where you are going to use that API to build your SDK, build your CLI, build your actions, using which a very simple statement was is to upload your repo to a decentralized ecosystem. That was first. The second thing was is like using the existing build model of the Spheron, you can just deploy your private repository from your GitHub directly. Like just pass your GitHub URL and all those things. It should just happen rather than going on a Spheron user interface. And then there was the upload functionality, which was like allowed people to upload, like build on your local and upload on Spheron. That was the third one, like all of those things. And then one of the major thing which we were looking for was also is around GitHub Actions. So I know it's again GitHub is centralized, but unfortunately we have most of our code bases on GitHub, right? Either on GitHub, on GitLab, or Bitbucket, but most likely on GitHub. So we wanted to make sure like the people who are on GitHub should start moving their application or decentralized ecosystem as well, and they should start experiencing that as well. So action was going to play a very vital role for us, and that is where these guys are going to be presenting some part of it. So we have Priyanshu, one of our community members who has been like building. He'll introduce himself, like what he's building. I'll not touch base on that. We have Loki. His real name is different, but but his Discord name is different. So he's kind of Loki the god, the mischievous god, which everyone has seen in Thor and all those movies. So welcome, guys, first of all, and thank you so much for being patient while we were building that API, for being patient when we were resolving those queries. Like the upload was not working sometimes the build was not working, but finally it worked, and finally you guys were able to build what you wanted to build, and finally now we are at a place where we can just go ahead and see that in action. So I would love both of you to introduce few pointer from your side. Like I'd love to hear what you have been doing so far. I personally know like what you guys are doing, but if you'd love, I would love to hear from you directly. So Priyanshu, you Loki, you both, you have to just tell like yourself, like what from where you are, what you are building, And one of the most important question which you have to basically answer during your introduction is why in Web3 and why Spheron. So these are the two major questions which you have to also answer while you are doing the introduction. So let's get started with who want to go ahead. Like I don't just don't want to take the name.
Yeah, I guess I can go first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, I am Loki. I'm Lokesh. I like to go by Loki. I'm a developer advocate by profession. I've been a developer advocate for about 2 years now, mostly in the Web2 space. I've been slowly being introduced to like new Web3 concepts, mostly like OG Club DAO, and that's kind of where I like got to know about Spheron a lot. And between like some of the things that I've seen in Web 2, like for example, was Cell, they had like a really good developer experience. Some of those things kind of like translated to things that like Spheron was also doing, and I naturally gravitated more and more towards it. And it is a typically a problem where like once you finish like building a site, you always need to think about hosting, you need to think about domains, and a lot of that is like a lot more different in Web3. And I kind of like realized that Ferran kind of like laid the pathway for some of us to like get used to those systems like fairly quickly and kind of get started on how to think about just the contract development part of it, or not think too much about like the front end ecosystem and the infra layer. It was something that was beautifully abstracted for us. So yeah, I like kind of gravitated more and more towards it, and found like that I could add some value with respect to like APIs that were being put out, and that's kind of where I like got started. Yeah.
That was very clean wording. Like you have put it
Mhm.
very rightly. And thank you so much for the kind words. And I would love to basically like it's been for me it's been around 4 years in the crypto now. Like I have completed 4 years. Like now I'm like we call it in crypto like if you are 1 year in crypto, which means like you have already spent around 4 to 5 years in reality because it's so much of pressure. But so which means like we both have now good understanding of the crypto as well. But thank you so much for those nice words, and all the very best also for your future. And we would love to see you as a developer advocate in Web3 companies, not in Web2 companies anymore. That is what I wish for going forward. uh, Priyanshu, let's hear from you. I believe I know like before our call, you were saying like you are a little bit nervous, like how you're going to speak. It's fine. Like eh, you can just start spilling whatever you want to.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Priyanchurat, and I am a third year student at KIT University. So, I have been building Spheron SDK for the past 1.5 months, and I was introduced to Spheron by Kiran Datta from Web3 Learn, because I was, there was a webinar and I heard about, and Prashant was the speaker, and I was like very impressed by the way he spoke, and the presentation and the thing that he was giving. So I have been into the Web3 space for the past, no, Web3 and the proper development space for the past 6 months, I would say. And the reason why I was very interested in Speron, because the React application that I was creating. Okay, so I stopped watching tutorial, long tutorials, because they were just putting me to a tutorial hell. So I just prefer documentation and very small mini lectures. So I just saw, okay, you can deploy your React application or the front end application in just 3 steps in Speron. So I was like very impressed during that time. So then I saw a bounty, and that's, yeah, let's start doing it. And then
What can be better? What can be better opportunity than this?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, I had no idea about TypeScript, so I just saw okay, I had very little experience with JavaScript. I am a Java guy, Spring Boot, and those things. So I just saw a tutorial, and some what do we say, medium articles on TypeScript, how it is different from JavaScript, blah 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 blah. And in 2 days, I just learned, and I started creating. And as a you know in a continuous manner, I learned about Axios, and I learned about many other stuff. And Yeah, I was successfully able to build this application. That's all I would like to say.
That is great to hear. And there is one thing which you have very good pointed, and I love actually that wording. I think we should tweet this out today from our Twitter handle, personal Twitter handles. Is like tutorial hell, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
I love that that tutorial hell part of a thing, and personally believe like I've already told you guys, right? So I come from a development background.
Hmm.
Um, One thing which really like hurted me a lot when I was into development was like a lot of these people are trying to sell you something, and like a lot of these people try to teach you something which is like very top of the view, right? It's like thousands, 10,000 feet above.
Hmm.
So I always had one thing in our head, in my head, like coming to this tutorial is why the hell these guys are creating these things? Okay, and then I was like very new, like I never realized like these things have been made for a business and all those things. But slowly I understood, and whenever I started work, when I started working in software industry, I learned one thing, one very very basic fundamental is learn what you want to build and build what you think. Okay, so that is how I started and avoided that tutorial hill
Hmm.
completely, and I believe that is what you are also doing the same. You are doing the very right thing which I have just now told, right? Which I have been followed is learn what you're learning now is to build like what you're thinking now, like what the thought process we have given you, you can build that, and you're learning what is required at the moment. So you are out of the tutorial hill. So thank you so much for that wording, and I love that. We are just going to post it out, and people who are going to hear this out, they're also going to love it. So without further ado, let's try to let's get into Loki's side, and since he has Loki, what you'll be presenting first, like it's CLI or the action?
I think we'll go with the CLI first. Uh,
All right,
yeah.
so let me just bring your dark screen on our show. Let's go ahead and see. Awesome. So you are now your screen
Okay.
is sharing now.
Awesome.
Like I believe everyone can
Cool.
see your screen.
Uh, yeah. I think first up, I would want to just maybe just show how you can get access to the Spheron CLI right now. So yeah, this would be the link. They call me Loki Spheron CLI. You can just get to the releases, pick the flavor of the platform that you are on, and then essentially there are like there's an instruction in the README itself on like how to apply it to each platform. So beyond that, like you should have a Spheron CTL like binary on your command line. So these are the list of like commands that like you can actually like take a look. Sorry, yeah, these are the list of commands you can actually look at. Uh, so configure is the first thing that you would do. I believe so that I might already have mine configured. Let me just quickly check that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's my API key. Yeah, but essentially you can run configure the first time, and that'll like it'll ask you to get set up by creating an API key on the Spheron dashboard, which is a one-time thing. After that, you can use Spheron CTL set project to set which project you're going to work with. So depending on like if you move between multiple projects, that's something that like you'd want to do. Beyond that, like pretty much like everything that you can do on the Spheron dashboard is something that you can do locally as well. For example, like if I were to upload, let's take a look at like upload, for example. So in Spheron, okay, I am going to the action now in the test folder. Uh, I have a build ready to go. So this is something that like when you run npm run build on a React or a Vue or an Angular project, you're going to have like pre built like files that you can like push to Spheron. Essentially, at this point, what I would do is actually bring Spheron CTL here. Um, oh, I think I can just go one step back. Yeah. So Spheron CTL and then upload. It's gonna ask for like a folder name. So in our case, that's going to be build. The project name would be Spheron Test, for example, and you can pick which protocol you want to do. I think I'd go with Pinata, and then essentially that takes care of like building that, uploading that entire folder over to like Spheron. At the end of the stage, you should get like a content deadline exceeded. Okay, maybe we is that my internet? Could likely very well be. Let's just try that again.
I believe I believe during our presentation, even before that, I was telling the same thing. Whenever it never
No,
happened
no,
with
it
me.
worked.
See, that is what I was saying, right? It never happened with me. Like if I'm presenting anything and it does not fails, like it's just it's a flavor of software, I believe. Like I have been fuck, like we were just discussing this, right?
Nice.
This might
Yeah,
happen.
I hope that worked. So yeah, I guess I might actually be using a slightly older version. Allow me to fix that. RM Spheron CTL, the CLI, Spheron CTL. Let's just bring that here and run the upload again. Um, yeah, maybe this time it'll work. Okay.
Let's hope. For for me, it's okay. So it worked for you.
Um,
I believe it is the
okay,
same
that'll
issue
work.
when we were facing last time, right? So it was not uploading in the right path, correct? With the right folder structure.
Uh, yeah. So I had fixed this. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that like I haven't like moved the correct one maybe. So that's just my local development environment. I'm just picking something to test right now. These are all the different commands that you can run using Spheron. I'll just take the CLI over to the test folder once again. Action test. Hopefully this time it should work.
Finger crossed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it
Um,
looks. Oh, okay.
okay.
It did not.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah. I do believe that the action should work. Perhaps we
Yeah,
just
that is
verify
fine.
if
So
there's.
there are a few things which I just wanted to understand. I believe once we have the release, I right. So you can also create a tutorial around it. And it's very straightforward, I believe, right? What
Yep.
people want to basically use. So there are a few questions which I had actually. So let's say if I want to download your SDK and start uploading those folder structure or folder path, what I have to download. So let's say if I am a Mac user, what I should do. What will be my first step to go ahead and do? Is to go into your
Okay.
Loki slash that
Yeah.
GitHub URL,
So
go
you
to
could go to
release.
this release, and then Darwin is the variant for like Macs essentially. So I would download this,
Hmm.
essentially extract that. That should give you a Spheron CTL file.
Hmm.
So this I would then, uh, if I could show it from here in downloads, and I don't want to ls, but yeah, Spheron CTL 2. Yeah, so I would just move this to user local bin, which is your computer's like bin folder essentially, where all your binaries exist. uh, yeah, after that you can just run Spheron CTL from anywhere. uh, I
Oh,
would
okay,
like to
okay.
move
So once it
Spheron
goes there,
CTL.
then I can basically start. Um,
Yeah, it'll be in my path essentially. So then I would just be able to use Spheron CTL directly. I think it'll be dash dash help, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
this is how. All right,
Yeah, so
all
this
right.
works for both Windows and this works for Linux and Windows. Linux and
Mac.
Mac. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Windows, you just get like .exe. You can just drag and drop that in anything that has path. I would recommend say System32. You could just go and drop the file in there, and you should be good to go.
Awesome. Then it is going to be very straightforward, right? Like where they can people can go and uh, go ahead and do that. And then let's do one thing is we can bring Priyanshu now, and what you can do is like you can basically use the backstage for fixing up the upload if there is any issue which can be fixed and demonstrated
Yep.
to the people. And in the meantime, Priyanshu, if you are ready, we can put you in. So I'm removing your screen sharing now, Loki.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you can use the screen and go ahead and do the changes whatever you want to, and if time allows we can just see that upload functionality again and see like what was the issue and everything.
Yeah.
So and then after Priyanshu is done, we'll come into the action part, and
Yeah.
it's fine. Like that is what I told. It's always like it's always, I don't want to use
So,
the word.
um, is
Oh,
are
I
we
thought
stuck?
that might.
Okay. Yeah. And I think his net is. He should be back shortly. Uh,
Yeah.
are you back? Um,
Hey
yeah.
guys,
Yeah, I think you're back.
pardon me, I believe I'll cut off that part, and just let me know. This is what happens, right? Even though you stay in India, you have to prove that you are in India when your internet disconnects or your light goes off. That is how you basically show people, okay, we are still in India. But we are improving from lantern to light now, so it's a good progress. Still, everything is clear. You are able to see me properly.
It's a bit lagging, but yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me delete this.
So let me do one thing. Let me switch internet again from my side.
Yes.
Then I'll bring you up. Hey guys, I'm back again. So
Yep. Priyanshu, you sharing?
Yes, yes. Is it visible? No, no.
Yeah,
It
I think
should
it's
be
stuck.
visible, right? I can see the small window.
Uh, but I think Prashant's stuck again. Yeah, okay, no, he's
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. He's back.
I'm fixing my internet. Okay, this is how you fix the internet. In so now I have to call you. I have to call here in UP our Chief Minister CM to at least give people internet into town area so that people can work from office, work from home, or else they have to work from office. Um, so all right, guys, I believe everything is sorted now. My internet is also stable now. Priyanshu, how are you now? Shall we bring you
Yes, we can
on the
start.
stage?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Uh, L- Priyanshu, so it's up to you now. Let's see your thing into action, and let's hope it should work. Okay.
Yes. Excuse me.
All right. So let me bring Priyanshu's screen. Yeah, Priyanshu,
Hello.
you are now live. Loki, you can if I can see your screen, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so the SDK that I built is in NPM. So if you want to start, I mean, if you want to view the documentation, it is here itself. Every single method that is present, you can view it from here for a quick glance. Out of every, these methods, I am going to showcase the upload and the deploy function, not the default deployment. There are two types of deployment. In one of those deployment, you can pass your unique ID by yourself, and in the default deployment, I have created a function in which the unique ID gets generated. So let's get it started. So suppose I am assuming that you guys have at least created this folder structure, like one app. There's tsconfig.json and package.json. Here you have to okay, I will just as the node modules is not there, I will install npm I Spheron sdk dash es. Okay, so that's it. And your the package will be downloaded. Just wait a couple of seconds. I just wanted to do it like, and
But this is looking super cool because you have learned it right from the scratch, each and everything.
yes. Okay. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Node modules is there, and so this is the blank. Okay, and now let's just build right from the scratch. So first step zero is create the folder structure and tsconfig.json that I said. And now what I have to do is import the Spheron class from Spheron SDK TS. And now what I'm going to do is initialize it, right? Um, so for that, I have to create a variable name client. And then, you can give whatever you want. Const client equal to new. Okay, now I'm gonna copy paste. No, I'm not. Second, give a second. Yes. New Spheron. And here you have to put the API key that you can find from Spheron website. And after you put the API key, the client will client will get access to all the method that I have just showed in the documentation. Now I just new view word wrap. Sorry. All is it okay? And I don't copy my API key, I'll disable it. And now what we need is in order to deploy, we need the organization ID that you can definitely get by the the method. Wait, let me show you. Give me a second. Give me a second. Yeah. Um, oh, no, 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 not from here. What?
So
There
I
is
believe,
a
yeah, I believe organization ID just to till the time you find it out. Just
uh,
to give the context to the people, is how exactly Spheron is structured. So every Spheron project is fall under an organization. So we have a user, which is the higher level of a set. If you draw a circle, right? So inside the circle, you will find an organization, and a user can have multiple organizations. It is for the audience, like people who are going to listen us. It is for them to understand. And then every organization can hold n number of different repositories, which we call. So repositories can be your projects, a project which you want to host. It can be one, it can be two, it can be hundreds or thousands or whatever you wish to. And why this structure has been created, this structure has been created by keeping one thing in mind, which is called, let's say you want to source out certain part of your product development to agency called X, for example. Now agency X cannot should not have the access of your all the code repo, right? They should have a limited access, because you cannot trust. Let's say if you are building on stealth mode, you cannot trust on agencies, or you cannot, even if you sign NDAs, it always advisable not to get into all those stuff, right? So you just onboard an agency who is designing your landing page. You create a different organization for them and invite that team into that organization, and they basically get invited and they can start utilizing your services under that organization. So that was the whole intention of creating another organization, so that admin can separate out different projects and different teams into different places, and all of these can be handled separately. It is just for all the people.
So client dot get organization ID. So it's the method. So you can just call the function and get your respective organization. I'm not going to show it at this point of time because I already have it in my screen. Now what I'm going to do is copy paste. So here I'm going to create a variable named org ID. Okay, and let's just copy paste almost everything that is actually required to deploy a project. Okay, cool. This is the Git URL, repository name. Um, uh, Definitely not. Uh, the now wait. Now it should work. Repository name, protocol, then provider is GitHub, branch is main, and then yarn build, yarn install for the build and install command. The workspace is null at this point of time, not null, empty. And the published dir is built because it's the normal React application. The framework is React and the node version is v14. So I have declared almost everything that is required to deploy our application. And now let's actually deploy it. Okay, for that you create a function like this. Cool. Deployment response is the return that you are going to get from this uh, from this function, so what I'm going to do is also import it. You can also import it by this aurit enter and thing, uh, but let me show you what this deployment response type contains. Okay, so it contains this domain and this domain thing, right? So it has success message, topic, and deployment ID, project ID. As because it is TypeScript, everything has to be properly defined. So you got the deployment response. I'm just console logging it, and what I'm going to do is recheck everything. Is everything fine? Yes, I hope so. And now what I'm going to do is call the deploy function. I hope it works.
Let's finger crossed.
Yes. So DSC. Let's see. Let's see if it works. No error, please. Yes. Now in the tsconfig.json, I have it output in here itself. So now I'm going to run node app slash app.js. Okay. Should work. Yes, it's successful. And this is the deployment ID that I'm going to copy. This deployment ID. Yeah, the deployment is in progress. Is in process. Now we are going to see the status of this deployment. Okay. Should have copy pasted, but cool. And now what I'm going to do is comment these things because the deployment is being processed. So it should give me the information, right? Give me a second. Is this,
Basically, it is going to give us the logs, like what exactly is happening
yes.
with the deployment which has been triggered.
Yes. I'm just copy pasting the function here. Let's deploy, yeah, whatever. Now get deployment, and here I should have the deployment ID, and this will give me the logs that is present here. Now we can hopefully see our website in action. Now to recompile. What means something always has to break or what?
It's a
Uh,
it's a thumb rule for a software developer to understand one thing is whenever you go and do anything, it is going to do
mhm.
something which you will not expect. I believe it is already worked for you. The only thing which is
Yes.
happening now is the stream which is reading now. It is not
Mhm.
been perfectly like read. That is the reason
Yeah,
it is
but
coming as a question mark.
it was working fine a couple of minutes earlier. But cool. You know what? I will show you it an action. Don't worry. Uh, I have a other hack as well. Uh, you know what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah, I know.
I'll just show you the. I'll show you the URL. I meant, and ID is there is the URL, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Postman. Okay. Ah, okay. That's what I was thinking. Like, where is he looking it up?
He's going to be posting it via Postman and then getting the URL back. So he got the URL now.
Yes, we. This is a project.
Yeah.
I hope that it's not working. I'm pretty sure the reason being the API thing. Yeah, nothing is gonna fetch, but it doesn't matter. So
So I
the
believe
site is
I believe
being.
yeah I believe so just go back to your VS Code again. So
Yes.
the one thing which you have done beautifully here is like now let's say I believe this is something which we were also using at Biddlefy as well, where we have built our own customized code. Now nobody has to build their own customized code to pull the data from the API of this Spheron. Rather than they can just go ahead and use SDK and pull each and everything and then push the code for the build. And one of the interesting use case for this would be is let's say there is a I believe there are multiple use cases people can build. They can also build a
Mm,
form which gets generated at the runtime, and that form can be like created immediately. So let's say I want to create a form. I will just create a create button, and the moment I hit a create button, you just use the SDK. Basically, you have a template. Just deploy the template and give the return URL as a created form link, right? So you have all the template ready. Just create, and it just gives you the like returned URL via the deployment factor, and you can start sharing this. One of the interesting use case that can be
mhm,
built using your SDK from the backend side. I'm just giving out the ideas to the people. Like if they want to really
mhm,
use the SDK and go ahead and build some interesting use case for them, they can go ahead and for sure they can build a very good use case around it. So I would love to see basically how the deployment basically looks like. Um,
uh,
if you can do that, I believe Loki.
deployment.
How
Okay.
how how is on your side? Like is everything
Oh, yeah.
work?
Yeah, I hadn't pulled. I was on another comp that I had made the changes. I just git pull and ran it, and it's working now. So I
It's
think that's
working.
the only
Okay,
thing.
awesome. So
Yeah.
Priyanshu, let's do one thing. We'll
Mhm,
do the reverse. Okay, it happens. I already
mhm,
told before the call itself, like because we are the like in the bigger stages and bigger meetings we have lost.
mhm,
Like we have whenever we just said, hey, you know what? Fuck, it was just working a few minutes back, and now it is
mhm,
not working. It's happened, and that is the reason I did not like. If you see my face, once
mhm.
the recording has been shared with you guys, nothing got changed in my face. Like it just remains the same because I'm used to of it. At the last moment these changes happen, so take your time.
Hmm.
So Loki will come into, and then you can just revisit these things and show people like, okay, this is how exactly it is going to look like in reality.
I mean, reality in the sense, just the
That
deployment.
Yeah, that logs, just check
Yeah,
that,
the
just
logs.
just take any deployment ID and pull the logs.
Yeah, I have
Rest
to also
everything is
show the
kind of sorted.
upload function as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you also have to show the upload, so make sure
Yeah.
like it is kind of
After
uploaded.
Loki, I'll go. Okay.
Done. Awesome.
Fair.
So Loki,
Okay. Wait. Wait.
it's
Wait.
up to you now. Let me put your screen on here. Yeah,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
can go ahead now.
So yeah, it's working. I'll just I'll just build again just to like make it like fully end to end. So this is what you would typically, this is what your workflow would look like. You'd start by like actually building the project out locally. Um, this could also like be very well like part of a CI system process. So now what I would do is uh, just to show you the site right now locally. I think okay, I don't have that, so I'll just directly move it to Spheron in that case. So Spheron CTL upload build test pinata, and then so yeah, like initially we were getting the pinata link. Now we're getting the Spheron base URL essentially. Okay, yeah, this happened the last time also, so I don't think that's related. Um, should work. Yep. So that's the link. Can I click? Yeah. Okay, it's show up here. Yeah. So this time it like loaded, and yeah, this is the upload action test. Yeah, so we can pretty much make changes right now. Like we can make changes to the application, and then every time you want to like upload, you can just use the CLI to push the latest version on
See,
Spheron.
the second time worked.
Yeah, no, I forgot that I had done development on another computer, and then when I
Right.
come to present it, I was on a different machine, so I
So
forgot
generally,
that that's
generally
the case.
this is how how most of the time it
Yeah.
is, right? So we are
Yeah, so
it's
if
it's
you
made.
actually followed through, yeah, if you actually followed through the instructions and installed the release from GitHub, you wouldn't have had this problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would have
So
actually
make
been the
sure,
best part.
disclaimer, make sure you follow whatever is mentioned on
Yeah,
GitHub. Don't trust on your
yeah,
local anymore.
absolutely. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. I believe it's one of the best thing, right? Which and I would why I'm discussing the use cases here as well is whenever people are going to build any kind of such thing, and Spheron CTL is going to play a very vital role, I believe, going forward, right? The reason being because again the use cases are immense, but let's say I don't want to. I don't trust. Let's say Spheron. It's ultimately what we are trying to build. Even we as a Spheron today, we believe in one thing is like our ultimate goal is to become more and more decentralized over the time. Now, once you become more and more decentralized, the question is, are we really going to enforce people to use us, or are we going to give people an option to do whatever they wish to and use some mediator to basically reach to that ultimate goal, right? As of now, in the R system, it was basically like you had to use our remote execution to execute your code in the remote, and then it gets uploaded from there. Going forward with Spheron CTL, user don't even have to rely on our remote execution. If you have a machine which is like I don't know thousand cores or whatever cores you have, and you can just build your entire code within a seconds. Just build it in your local and go to Spheron CTL. I believe it is simple command, right? Upload, right? So just go in that, provide your build path, and just hit on upload, and it should just work. So that is one of the beauty of Spheron CTL. And once we move slowly forward, people can also start spinning their clusters. Like let's say you want to Spheron CTL space, I want a EC2 instance, right? Or in Amazon world, it's called EC2 instance, but for normal world, it's a normal VM which you want. You should be able to do it in a decentralized fashion. You should just going and doing that. And then over the time, eventually you will see that how exactly we are going to frame it up in a very good way. But it's really good to see, look, like how easy you have made a developer's life now. And again, as I said, like dev advocacy is your thing, and making developers life easier by writing in code, I love it.
yeah. I guess the APIs itself were very fairly easy to consume. So good. Already, it was already at a really high like bar for developer experience. I think these are just like little helpful things that like make it a little bit easier to kind of go about. And yeah. So
Awesome.
do you want to look at the action as well?
Let's go ahead and look at.
Okay. So that's so again, like the action itself, we haven't done like a proper release for it yet. But I guess like after this call, essentially we'll like move to like a very stable version, like say version one. I've been basically testing it on the previous version and it seems to work really fine. So essentially, this is just the exact same thing that I just demoed locally. It's just Spheron upload test. The main thing that you'd want to do is that you'd want to create a .github folder in your repository. Create a workflows folder after that. So in your main.yaml, essentially, this is where you would write like any like custom action scripts. So here the main steps are. So you would already be able to, if you're already using GitHub Actions, likely like everything from here till here is something that you already have in your like local, in your own GitHub Action workflows. So specifically the action that pushes to Spheron is this one. So like I said, like we'll make this version one shortly after this video, but you could basically use the action in order with an API key, a project name, and the organization ID, also which folder you want to upload. Also picking a protocol, basically like lets you give all the information that you need to Spheron so that once npm run build succeeds, as a CI/CD system, it constantly keeps that updated with Spheron. So now what your workflow could look like is you no longer need Spheron CTL either. You could directly just GitHub push git push to like origin master, and then you could see that like on push to like origin master, you have like a action that like keeps Spheron updated about the latest deployment as well. So yeah, like let's just try it in action. So just make like a quick edit. Again, the README is like fairly straightforward. You would essentially need to just add API key and a project name, and you should be good to go. You would do that in settings under secrets in actions. Yeah. Essentially, you'll be able to add these two over here, and that's when you can actually have those secrets available so that the action can run. Now let's like make like a tiny change in, I guess, app.js. Yeah, so I'm just gonna directly push to main. So essentially now that there has been a change to main, it's gonna run the action again. This is the job, the matrix, and then to test the upload as such. And it's going to now upload. It's going to get like a action runner or an action essentially, which is like a container that like runs in GitHub's namespace, tries to bring the file, bring the repo down to its local machine, runs npm run I, npm run build, and then uses the same upload logic that's there on the CLI, but within the action in order to actually upload it.
Yeah,
It
basically
shouldn't
it
take
is
so
it is
long.
I believe it is going to be the mirror of your local system, and I believe it
Yeah,
also does the same thing what Spheron remote execution does, basically, right? Where you give the access to the Spheron and we upload it, rather than you now no longer have to give your like coding access to Spheron anymore, right? So you can
right.
straightforward go ahead to the Spheron, create your API key or whatever key you need to basically perform this job, and just go ahead and like start uploading from your using action itself directly, rather than using any kind of like any actions directly.
So let me just make the project name slightly different. I forgot what I had given for my project name. So I don't think I can view it here, but I think I should be able to give a new one. Test. Then, I have to authenticate with my phone.
So just for everyone's info, so the difference between Spheron remote execution and the GitHub work actions is GitHub basically has their own build environment which they use to push it. We have our own build environment. So if you use Spherons, we use ours. If you use GitHub, they you use GitHub's. That is the one difference. The second difference is, even though today also without you can also automate this commit and push and all those processes in Spheron as well using the webhooks, which we already have. But sometimes it might get missed out. Sometimes something happens which might get missed out. So you can just always go ahead and have the actions handy and get it uploaded always.
I think I might have to build it another time.
I believe when I was in which year this GitHub Action was launched, and prior to GitHub Actions, we were using, I don't know, like there multiple.
Uh, yeah, this had Bitbucket. No, no, not Bitbucket. GitLab had its own thing
Yeah,
called GitLab
yeah,
Runners.
yeah.
Yeah, those
GitLab
were
Runner were
those were
there,
kind
and
of nice.
then uh, I believe
I think
Azure
I'm
has
just used
also.
to Jenkins. Like
Yeah,
we
I
usually
have
used
used
to
that.
use Jenkins, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have
that's
used it
usually
Jenkins.
the more
Even
like CI/CD systems and kind of like
yeah,
bringing up those like systems usually would be Jenkins.
I believe later down the line developers are going to like become not used to of all this system which we were used to of. It was
Right.
very cool, right? Even I have worked on Tortoise, the Tortoise like a virtual repository.
The subversion, but like
Yeah,
older
SVN.
version.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh, that was a nice one. Yeah, really. I'm guessing it should work now. Yeah, cool.
Worked.
I think it should
So what
see
was what
action
what
soon.
exactly what exactly was the issue which you have fixed? Like why it did not
Okay.
work last time? Why it worked this time?
So I forgot what I had given for project name. And what happens
Oh,
is
okay, okay,
it's a secret, right? So GitHub tends to scrape that from you so that you don't accidentally expose secrets in a log. So I forgot what it was called. So I just changed the secret name to something test, and then now I knew I gave test. So I
got
just
it.
had to replace test and the same thing that like I got the rest of the URL from Spheron itself, and I
Yeah,
just
and one more
added that
question I
test.
have is like, so let's say I go and redeploy it again. So do my deployment ID keep on changing? Like, is my like
Um,
URL will change or
so
URL remains the same?
I I'm not too sure
Shall we
actually.
shall we check
I
it?
don't remember.
Six
Yeah,
D
yeah,
two.
I think we
Let's
can
let's
do
check it.
that.
I believe it should be fine to test it out now. Like what happens
Yeah.
if yeah.
I do believe that it might be remaining the same, but yeah, I'm not too sure. I haven't actually thought about that. Yeah. So we've gone
What
with
was
four.
yeah.
Yeah, I just changed it to four. So now if we commit and change, there was 2B6. Actually, I have it open here. Yeah, 2B16D2. So essentially, I think test would likely remain the same because that's something I'm
Yeah.
using. This might be the commit hash, if or it could be something else also. I'm not
No, it's
too
a it's
sure.
a
It
unique
will.
string gets generated at the runtime.
Okay. Okay. So guessing it might be that 2B might it might like reuse 2B. I'm guessing that might be the intended direction.
If it is not, then I believe we should work on the feature to basically allow people to use the same URL pointing to the specific repo while uploading. The only concern here is like, yeah, I believe it is the same.
It's the same actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason how so even though even whenever you are uploading anything, right? So whenever you upload anything, we treat it as a bucket, basically,
Okay.
and that bucket has the specific URL which gets generated, and it always uploads to that bucket, and then that bucket points to a specific IPFS hash internally, which basically points
Right.
to your So that is the reason I told is to let's go ahead and take a look what is happening now. I believe it should work, but yeah, it just take a couple
Oh,
of minutes, I
oh,
believe.
okay. So this is IPFS that's actually trying to pin those files at this point.
Right,
Yeah, it's gonna
right.
probably take a few
Yeah,
seconds. Yeah.
yeah. It takes certain time to basically what happens. I'll tell you how exactly the architecture is designed. We believed in one thing is like we had two options when we were designing the entire system. The one option was is to go ahead and push everything to S3 object, which we were very opposed of, because ultimately we are doing the same thing, right? Which most of the Web2 folks are doing. Then we decided, okay, let's not do that. Let's do other way around. We'll push everything. The moment you receive the build execution, we'll push everything to IPFS, and then from IPFS, when somebody loads it, then only we pull that basically IPFS hash and download entire assets to our one of the CDN which we are currently building, which will also become a decentralized CDN over the time to accelerate your performance and everything. And it just caches it there, and that is the like invalidation phase where you have to invalidate this
Right.
part and then upload. So that is kind of it. It just takes time when you upload the next time. For the first time, it works very faster. For the second time, it just takes a second to traverse to emit that particular changes into all of those places. If it would have been a Web2 way, like it was very straightforward, just point to different object. That's it.
Different object. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
this like CDN itself, is that like something that's like an entity
yeah.
that
We have
Spheron
designed it.
itself is like running?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
That is the
Nice.
reason we
Pretty
we,
cool.
we, we never use anyone else. So initially we thought like we go to Cloudflare, we go and do like have somebody else, but then we realized is if we go and do that, the problem is again the dependency. Now we know like where our student can like go off, where we know where our systems can be scaled. Now longer span of a time as we grow. Yeah, you guys already know like the Cloudflare is humongous in terms of
Yeah.
the CDN, and we also don't want to like it is not a competition actually. It is the way we wanted to work basically, is to instead of relying on somebody else, why we can't build our own. And slowly, since we already know our architecture, how exactly our architecture is designed, now this architecture can be replicated to multiple nodes and become decentralized, which we can call
Decentralized.
ourselves a decentralized CDN over the time. Because the intention of the only problem which we are currently facing in the decentralized CDN is the browser support. If browsers will start
Mhm.
supporting the resolution part of the IP addresses, let's say if I say xyz.com, xyz.com, the browser should be able to understand xyz.com should look out for nearest peer for themselves rather than
Ah,
sending
okay.
the
So
entire
from a
request to the load
P2B,
balancer,
right, right, right. So you'd
right?
want the DNS resolution to happen at a P2P layer so that
Right.
you actually know what's the closest CDN I can like look up as a
Correct.
table and then kind of get to that first.
Correct. Correct.
That'll
Correct.
actually be really, really awesome. Yeah, if
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I
The
think it
whole
might be doable with a Chrome extension of some kind, but I
it
think
is.
in
It
insane
is.
browser support might not kick in until later. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So again, see, if you ask your user to install an extension to access a web application, nobody's going to do that.
right, right,
I'll be
right.
very honest on
That's
it.
also true.
Okay.
That's
So
true.
if you're talking for a mass, don't try to get into all of this. And so that is the reason, let's say we said, let's at least start building that initial foundation for ourselves to become a DCDN, right, over the time. And that is the laying foundation for it, is to understand how exactly and how much time it is taking to basically pull the data from IPFS and cache it to the nearest basically node, and then how
Yeah.
much like latency and all those things are coming in. And I'm sure like we have tested a couple of web application, and they were at the even today Uniswap as well, right? So we have forked Uniswap and we have launched, and it was like the same speed as it was deployed on Vercel, like as it was deployed on any other places nearest. Like it was I believe first time when we did that, it was when we started building CDN, it was 20 or 30 points different in the lighthouse performance. Now
Ah,
when
okay.
we did that, it was only 1 point difference.
Nice.
So after building CDN, so let's and we have been like building for, let's say, I it's around 10 months now, 10 to 11 months in it's around this around the CDN concept itself, and we have 4 to 5 years down the line to build. Just imagine what is going to get
Great.
built. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
see it becoming more and more decentralized. I think it would be awesome.
it will
Yeah.
happen, it will happen. So our first case was is to like start the process of decentralization starts once the people start thinking about decentralization and they start opening certain doors to happen it. So for us the API was the first key. The second key is going to be allowing this API to be interacted in a P2P fashion. And then what you have built
Nice.
in Spheron CTL, just imagine one thing. Spheron CTL can do one more thing in the background. It's called IP resolution and finding the P2 nearest peer for this particular user,
Right.
right? So
Right.
now you
I
have the
get what you
nearest
mean.
peer,
But yeah.
right? So this is how exactly it is going to shape up. But the intention was is to at least open the gate first, little bit, so that we can understand like how the things are working. Because we just don't want to go ahead and say, hey, you know what, we have raised and we don't have a like $200 million, $400 million to basically deploy a 1,000 people team to build this, right? We have a small team, we have all those constraints and everything in place, but we will do it slowly. Eventually it will happen, and that is where we are committed to it. But thank you so much, Loki. Your both of things
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
work perfectly fine. And as you know, right, so you will have your bounty or reward in your wallet. I'll do it as ASAP.
Nice.
um, so congratulations for it, for building these two and winning the bounty
Yeah, it
for
was
both of.
awesome.
Yeah. so
Yeah.
so so
It
so
was a delight working on Saran APIs. Yeah.
I would love to
A
like
lot of
have
it
you
was
guys. I'd love to have you guys here. And one more thing is like if you have not seen my tweet, if you don't follow me on Twitter, just go ahead and do that. Today I have tweeted one thing called Spheron Infra. Like we might be spinning a Web3 Infra DAO, which nobody has ever.
nice.
Which means like what we are going to do, the thing which has been like bifurcated, it has been spread out. The infra is spread out currently. We want to just bring them together, and we want to really invest and build as a community where Spheron is just not the part of building their own business, but also to making sure like the Web3 infra as a whole is getting built and supported by the Web3 infra players in this space. So would love you also is to if you are around, do be active on our channel. Try to make more updates on
Absolutely.
Spheron CTL, and maintain that. We'd love to invite you into our open source repo and all those places once everything is like open up for the
Absolutely.
more and more wider people. So thank you so much, Loki, for that. Now, Priyanshu,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's up to you. And at the last, just stay
Mm.
here. At the last, we'll when we conclude, we can just have a good run through there, and then we'll see what else we can talk about. But I'm bringing Priyanshu now. You.
Yeah, so there is a problem, I guess, in my VS Code that I saw. All the get functions are getting like this. So I apologize for that. So I will only show the upload function at this point of time, and it works. I just tested it, and for some reason, everything apart from the get functions are just giving the results properly. So I might
It
look
is
at
that
some.
is the reason I said like so. It is sometimes like the
Mhm.
string thing which just screws most of things. You can
Mhm.
also show it from like you can just call this. I believe it is a get function, right? If you have a postman, you can
Yeah,
call it from there itself directly.
I did from that only. No, um, I did
Did
it from the
postman
Swagger
worked?
UI itself. Swagger, yeah, it works perfectly
Yeah.
in the Swagger UI thing that you have, right?
Oh,
The API
then it's
instance.
sorted, right? You can just show the swagger itself. It's fine because your upload is working,
Yeah,
correct?
upload is everything is working, but the output is in like in a very weird. Only the get functions, but the other other functions are perfectly
So
working fine. I don't know what.
you have to
Yeah,
learn a lot in TypeScript. So there are
sure.
a couple
No,
of things
yeah,
which, yeah. So let's do
but.
one thing.
Mhm,
Let's do one thing.
mhm,
The issue which you have just faced, just
mhm,
since this video is also going to be going live, and
mhm,
once I'll share it to our team as well to take a look
mhm,
and help you out how exactly you can fix it up. Okay. And once you fix it up, just go ahead and tell, hey, you know what, it's done, it's sorted. Like this was the issue and all those things, and it is done. But one more thing I just wanted to add on
mhm.
here is like you have put an immense effort here, and
Correct.
I believe the SDK part which we were looking for on a TypeScript is up to the mark. But we still want some more things to be like presented, but
Mm-hmm.
just for your knowledge as well, you will be for sure getting the bounty reward for the SDK, definitely, because no
Mm-hmm.
one like we want to, because we have not spent out our any more time to ask anyone else to build it. So you are
Mm-hmm.
going to get that. But with that, we'll also love to see each and every thing and part aspects of it. Sit with the team, send out your issues, get it resolved, roll it out, and keep maintaining that. I believe you
Yeah.
have also done a great job.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the couple of days ago it was working fine. I don't know why it is not working now because I showed it to you like in a couple of days
As
back.
as I said,
The same thing.
yeah. So as I said, it's a very simple statement. Software never works whenever you are going to demo somebody. So let's say if you are if you and that too, if you have a multi-million-dollar deal which is going to get cracked, just imagine that point of time also it does not work sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's perfectly fine. It happens. This is how exactly the entire world has been spun around. So before we like wrap it up, there are few things which I also wanted to understand. So during your introduction, we tried to understand. Like I personally tried to understand from you guys is what are the things which really attracted you guys towards Spheron. Now I'm going to ask you one more question. The reason I'm going to be asking this question because you guys have been working with us closely for a longer time, and you have seen how we as a developer have been grown, and and we have also seen like how you guys have contributed. If you have to basically suggest, or if you want to see Spheron more in action, what are the few things, or even one thing or two things, or whatever, how many like feedback you want to add on, you are free to go ahead and do that, and nothing is going to cut down. So if you want to give a bad feedback, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to give a good feedback, you can go ahead and do that. Whatever you love to, I would love to hear that in a very open fashion. So just tell us, if you have to like add one thing into Spheron, what you are going to add which is going to change the developer experience. Please add not all the points so that you both are there. So one person has to be giving one. So let's get started with Priyanshu first, right? Loki, I know you will be able to give one, but I would love to hear from Priyanshu first.
So it's the Spheron Aqua thing, no?
Okay.
So we have to spend real tokens, right? Real money. So
Yeah.
my request is there a way for developers like me who can just use it so that
You
just
have
not
a you have a starter program. Have you seen that on the pricing page?
actually not. Okay, then it's on me. I just want to use it and showcase my full stack projects, completely on
See,
Spheron.
we have two things. Okay, I'll tell you here. One is called starter program. One is called open source program. Okay, so
Mm,
if you have a startup, then you can use that startup one. If you are open source
mm,
project, which you will be mostly like, you'll be using Spheron for showing the bounties and all these places. You can go and apply it for the open source. Open source will give you the enough access for like around a year, or depending on like how long you want. You can request us and we'll give you that depending on like how longer you want to.
mm.
And just go ahead and fill that. It is the moment you go to the Spheron.network, go to the pricing page, scroll down. There are two new things which we have recently added because we knew such kind of question is going to come up. And we
Yeah.
and we personally believed one thing, and it's fine to ask because this is how the brand evangelism and this is how exactly the infra works, right? People should go and use the infra first, and then they should pay for it once they love it, right? So your pay is not what you will be using us for. Us, your pay is like we'll be supporting in your journey going forward, which is an open source. You are an open source contributor going forward, right? So you should be supported not with the directly money but also with the infra support, whatever we can extend from our side. So go ahead and do that. Feel free to apply and we'll approve it for you.
Okay, sure.
Awesome. Loki, now it's you.
Yeah. I think it's been pretty awesome actually. Like I feel generally when I like look at the front end ecosystem, like web infra perspective, I kind of like feel like Spheron kind of covers most of the cases for me. Like There's nothing unique that I would want to see. I think maybe if you're trying to look at it from a whole like holistic perspective, maybe I would like a little bit more docs around how to use the compute platform. I think that could be that's just not from me. I kind of know what I'm doing, but I feel like from the perspective of someone who's new to like say Kates or like new to like Docker, I think those guys would like uh, appreciate like having a little bit more clarity on how I can get to like say doing a deployment on Spheron's compute platform. I could theoretically like figure out those things and like I can Dockerize my stuff and kind of get to a point where I've like deployed it. But I think like a lot more like tutorials and kind of like hand holding like a few folks to like onboard their full stack app once, right? And kind of like getting the doc set up for that could probably be like a really good move. Yeah,
So
that'll really help.
let's do one thing here. Okay, I know. I'll tell you. I can show you also our Discord channel as well.
Right.
We had a discussion going on is how we can proceed with the compute part for people to start educating about it. Now, the thing was is how do we want to proceed with that? The one way was is to one of our devrels or either me or somebody else just get on a call and they go ahead and do that, like hand holding part of like people building certain use cases and everything. The second way was is where we just going to spin up a reward program, a program where people just have to use. So let's say initially once you sign up into the compute as well, if you might have already seen that you receive
Right.
free 20 AKT from our side. Like it is, you can just spin up your
Oh,
initial
okay,
thing,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Right, right,
So
right, right.
the reason we have added that is is for this what I'm going to say now. Okay, the reason we added that is so that we can give out people like more serious folks to go ahead and start building the education material for like what they have
Okay,
seen,
yeah,
and they can just go and use that education material and share it with us, and we will approve their startup program, we'll approve their open source program, we'll approve their other
right.
programs. So that was the linkage we want to build. Okay,
Got
in
it.
order to
Yeah.
make sure that happens, but it is going to happen. So as I said, I'm going to get married, so I was kind of a little bit occupied there.
Congrats. Yeah.
These things which are already been planned. The only thing is the rolling out part, and most likely you'll receive it by early like in December, around mid of December. You are going to receive these kind of notification where now Loki will not be just someone who is will be like let's say Sphere on CTL, but also you can just go ahead and teach people about the compute, and you
Right.
can use that credit to give it to somebody else. You can use it for yourself, you can use it for multiple use cases. So that is where we are kind of working on, is to how we can make it more
Okay.
community driven rather than,
Self-serve. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
rather than team driven. Okay,
Right, right,
so
right.
these things should be more around
Yeah.
community driven. So that is where we'll be allocating certain fund also, and that is the reason that DAO is Spheron DAO is also shaping up, where
Okay.
the money
Yeah.
which we are
Yeah.
going to be
Makes sense.
making, that part of the money is going to also go to the DAO, and DAO will be anyone, like it can be Loki, it can be Priyash, it can be any like 60,000 community which we have. They can go ahead and submit their proposal, submit their tutorial, submit their article, submit their thing, and claim the bounty out of it. It's straightforward. And
Right.
the only there will be certain criteria which will be set. So the intention why I'm telling this is you guys to know, and also the wider audiences who are going to listen this entire conversation, which is 1 hour 13 minutes now, in which I will cut out
Right.
some of the part of it. But overall, that is our intention, is to first build the product, bring some audiences, understand how they are behaving around it, and then shape the product, move certain part of a product to the decentralized ecosystem, see how it evolves, how it works, and then go and improve it a little bit more, involve more community member. So if you might have seen, we first started with NFT gated community, then we opened
Right.
it for the people. The reason for that was is also not to bring many people. We wanted to understand how people are behaving around the platform. So that behavior analysis is done, because we are not recording your screens. Literally, Spheron don't do that. We don't have screen recorder enabled for whenever you do anything on Spheron platform. which most other projects does to understand how users are
User
behaving.
behavior is, yeah,
We don't
not
have.
it.
So for us, we wanted to make sure this is how the flow basically looks like: is understand the user behavior, understand what they're looking for, talk to more and more users, understand what is their the best thing which if we can offer them and they will start using us. Then move to community driven content side, where community will be the content creator for us, and these creators will be like taking out the contents in different platforms. It can be anyone, like it can be a million follower content creator, it can be 100K content million 100K follower content, it can be a 1K follower content creator. So they can just go ahead, submit the proposal, build something, and create the content. But it does not mean team will not put their effort. We'll also keep put the effort. Will whosoever wins, they will take the money. Simple. It's a DAO. So if the team is able to crack more and more content, team will be pulling out the money. If the community will be able to crack more and more deals or more and more content, community will be pulling out the money. It's simple and straightforward. Okay, so we want to build that kind of ecosystem over the time, and then slowly some part of the ecosystem will become decentralization, and then you will also become the member. Like you can run certain nodes, you can run a guild, you can run lot of multiple things. It will happen eventually, slowly. So I'll
Yeah,
be
I look forward to running a Spheron node myself at some point. Yeah,
you will
I
for
look
sure
forward to
soon,
it.
soon. Awesome, guys. I believe it was a very candid discussion which we had. I believe we were very good. No worries on when the software might not work. It might work sometimes. It's fine. But the intention was just like what we are thinking about and how exactly it is going to it is shaping up, which is already been shown and demonstrated by both of you. And I'll be requesting you guys also just keep maintaining that, and we will be also attaching from our side, running multiple bounties and all those things to make sure like these things are getting updated on time to time and timely basis. Make sure it is open source. Let's try to circulate your Spheron CTL and Priyanshu's SDK to more and more people so that it becomes heavily starred a version of npm or a GitHub forked
Yeah,
version, right? And let's start pushing ourselves toward using Web3 infra more and more over the time, so that we can just come out of this dramatical world of a Web2, where I call it dramatical because of multiple reasons. We can have a different call on discuss on that, and move to completely in a Web3 way. And this is how the starting is going to look like with this Spheron. So thank you so much, guys, and have a wonderful day ahead. Not even ahead, it's a night for you guys. Have a wonderful night ahead. Yeah,
same to you. Yeah,
awesome.
awesome.
Thank you so much.